Hi everyone, and welcome to our next video on game development theory. So last time we were talking about terms of amount of players or number of players and sort of just trying to define the different types. Today we're going to be looking at multiplayer and a few different ways of looking at the amount of players in a game. So multiplayer, as we already know, it's 3 players and up. So we know there's lots and lots of different games that could be Smash Bros, could be Call of Duty, could be Scrabble. There's lots and lots of things. Technically even football and things that we could be talking about here. So 3 players and up. We can go much further, so 3 is the minimum. We get to also massively multiplayer, so generally MMOs, the online games such as World of Warcraft and all that ilk. I'm afraid my MMO days are far behind me, so I can't remember a lot of the most recent ones, but Final Fantasy XIV is one of those as well. So these are, the thousands of players playing at the same time, more than that. So generally, massively multiplayer means that your number of interactions is actually far less than the total players playing, when usually your number of interactions is equal to the total players playing, because you're interacting with everyone. Massively multiplayer is far beyond that. You'd you'd never meet everyone playing at the same time. There's multiple servers as well, so it's an impossibility. But hopefully we already know about massively multiplayer online games. Even if we've never played them, we know they exist, certainly with World of Warcraft being so big. So when we talk about amount of players, there's almost always a sweet spot, which is the best number of players. So it is a little bit subjective. There's no right answer generally. So arguably, if you were a competitive player, you might think that 2 players is actually the sweet spot for a game, but where some people might be much more sort of free for all and think sort of 4 players or 8 players. It also depends on the game. So if you're playing sort of Mario Kart, then 4 players and up is actually fantastic, because you have much more control. You might not have AI, there's more people on the tracks, there's more interactions within the game. But then you might look at something like a Smash Bros competition. The sweet spot there is quite hard to work out. One-on-one is very, very sort of formal and straightforward, but you also get multiplayer squad strike, where you have 3 people on 3 people, or even a team battle where you can have sort of 2-on-2, 3-on-3. There's lots of different ways of doing it. So the sweet spot is a subjective number, but generally you can find a consensus on which is the best amount. I mean, you don't go into things like you wouldn't get a sweet spot of 1 player on racing games. Actually, no, you absolutely would, because it's a single player. Keeping to multiplayer though, you might find that if a racing game has many AI opponents, then the best number is the larger number possible. So 2, 4, 8, or whichever, how many players are available. So multiplayer, of course, comes with some pros and some cons. One of the biggest cons of multiplayer is people, because the fact that you've got multiple players means that there's more to sort out, so it's harder to set things up. Sometimes you have people actually come around to your house. Sometimes you just have to get people all lined up at the same time in the same place for a raid in an MMO or something like that. So ease of play. Single player, you can just start whenever you want. Multiplayer, you have to sort of line up everyone to make sure that everyone's playing in the same place. You also have the issue of victory. So everyone likes winning. I don't think that's too much of a stretch. Everyone likes to sort of win a game or have some kind of victory or satisfaction. If you're playing multiplayer, statistically you win about 50% of the time ish. If it's a 2-player game, 2-player game, competitively. So multiplayer it might be less so. So if there's 3 of you, it might be 33%. So with single player, it's all down to you, and you generally win, and you can do the same thing over and over again and retry if need be, but you generally have a greater sense of satisfaction. Multiplayer, there's always a winner and there's always a loser. We talked about kingmaking before, where the politics and sort of behind the scenes can actually make the loser pick the winner. but the acquired taste, you could argue, and victory is still sort of a very satisfying part of a game. So if you are multiplayer, the more number you have, especially in sort of certain type of direct competition games, the less victory you will have. And sort of the final point about multiplayer is you can change the amount of characters, and a little changes a lot. So it depends how sort of silly you get with it, really. But if you're relatively serious, say Scrabble, you could have 2 players, it's very competitive. You could have 4 players, still very competitive. The change there isn't huge. But if you start getting to a massive point, so I think the rules even recommend 4 is max. But easily you could consider 8 players playing Scrabble would be far too big. Lots of turns, lots of waiting. Letters get used up far quicker. It changes the game significantly. In the same way, you can change all sorts of games just by adding or subtracting players, and it will change it quite a lot. So if you have 20 people playing an FPS and it's all very sort of close quarters, suddenly it's all a bit of a brawl rather than sort of a considered tactical game. So a little changes a lot. There's a lot you can talk about with this one, but I don't want to say too much because I'd like you to try and think about it yourself. So 2 tasks for this. Pick a game, outline its minimum and maximum number of players, and the sweet spot. Why are these numbers the case? Why do you think that is the case for the game you choose? And also, pick a different game, so not the same one, and increase the amount of players. What changes? Is there a limit? And is there a point where it becomes a completely different game? What can you do? Now, of course, there are extremes there that you could go to, sort of multiple players per controller and that kind of thing, but explore it out and see what you find. Okay. Next we're doing heuristics, which is a brand new word, hopefully for you all, so we'll enjoy that one as well. But for now, try these tasks and make sure you're remembering all the other bits and pieces from previous videos when we come into doing these properly and rather than just sort of defining things. Okay, try it out. See you soon.